All right, parents, caregivers, teachers, really anyone who's ever spent time with kids, you know what I'm talking about here. Trying to teach them something, maybe read a book, or even just explain how to tie their shoes, and their eyes glaze over, completely gone, attention has left the building, right? So today, we're diving deep into how to help you unlock those little attention spans. And we've got 5 expert-backed tips to help us out.
And the best part is these tips. They're not just for kids, they work for grown-ups too.
I love that everybody wins. So we're looking at advice pulled from experts, not some dense research paper, right? So we're
Mm.
going for practical application here. And the first one is engage in activities they enjoy. Okay, on the surface seems kind of obvious, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it, right?
Absolutely. When kids are really into something, their brains are firing on all cylinders. Dopamine levels go up. Those areas responsible for focus and learning are super active.
Yeah.
It's like their brains are actually wired for it. But it's not about forcing them to like something, you know? It's about tapping into that natural love of learning that's already there.
Right, right. Finding that thing that sparks their curiosity. This reminds me of my son when he was little, history lessons. Forget it. Hand him a magnifying glass and a bunch of bugs. Oh, he was a scientist in the making, totally zoned in. Okay, so speaking of making things fun and engaging, the next tip is about breaking down tasks into smaller parts. And honestly, I know I find that helpful even as an adult. Why is that especially important for kids, though?
Well, a child's prefrontal cortex, the part of their brain that deals with planning, organizing, focus, all of that, it's still developing. So when you hit them with this huge, overwhelming task, it's like asking them to climb a mountain in flip-flops.
Yeah, recipe for disaster.
Exactly. But if you break it down into smaller, more manageable steps, it gives them that feeling of accomplishment along the way,
Mm,
keeps frustration at bay,
yeah,
and helps them build those essential executive function skills they'll need as they grow up.
makes total sense. So we've got tapping into their interests and breaking things down, all great strategies. But what about when distractions are just everywhere? Which, let's face it, is pretty much all the time these days. So tip number 3 is limit distractions. And this one feels relevant for all of us, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Notifications, sounds, bright lights, information overload. It's no wonder our brains feel pulled in a million directions sometimes. And for kids whose impulse control is still developing, it's even tougher. Creating a designated focus zone, a quiet, calm space where they can concentrate on the task at hand without feeling overwhelmed can make a huge difference.
Oh, I love that. Like a little haven for their minds. Okay, so speaking of finding that inner peace, tip number 4 might seem a little out there at first. Practice mindfulness exercises. And I have to admit, when I first heard this one, I thought, how am I supposed to get a 5-year-old to meditate?
Toggles.
Right.
But honestly, mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. It's just about bringing your attention to the present moment. With kids, it could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths together before starting homework, noticing the sounds around you, even feeling your feet on the ground, that kind of thing. Even just a few minutes can do wonders for their focus and create a sense of calm.
And we could all use a little more of that, am I right? All right, on to our final tip. Offer praise for focused behavior. Seems straightforward, but is there a right way to do it?
Definitely. It's not just about saying good job. Be specific. Instead of you're so smart, try I noticed you were really focused while you were working on that puzzle, even when it got tricky. You stuck with it. Showing them you see their effort is so important.
It's all about recognizing those little victories. So, we've covered some incredibly helpful tips for unlocking your child's focus, but what for you is the biggest takeaway here?
For me, it's that building focus isn't about forcing kids to sit still. It's about nurturing that love of learning, their confidence, and giving them the skills to navigate a world that's only getting more and more distracting?
It's about empowering them to explore their passions and giving them the tools to do it with focus and enthusiasm. So, for everyone listening, remember to celebrate those small wins, have patience, and most importantly, have fun along the way.